Welcome today to our beaded bracelet project. I know that's a lot. I might have to rethink of the name of this project, but we might end up with something like this at the end of class. Yours might have more or fewer beads, but this is the overall idea. Materials that we are going to need for this project include some type of cordage. You could use jute. This is hemp, twine. You could use nylon cord, basically any kind of thin cord. You're going to need masking tape for a moment, scissors, and we are going to use our faceted beads today. And there is a container of this over on the clay table. After the demonstration, I'm going to call you up by tables. You're just going to scoop not a heaping cup of beads, but just some to take back to your table to sort through and pick out the ones that you want. Right? So without further ado, let me get some of this out of the way. All right, the first thing that we are going to do actually is talk about our cord. Many of you may have brand new containers, like just fresh out of the plastic. Just like with yarn, it is pulled from the center. So if I look inside here, I can kind of see there's a spot where it's loose. And I'm just gonna pull that until one end or another breaks loose. I think this end right here, okay? And what we are going to do then is measure an arm length. Remember, there is a difference between an arm length and an arm span. A span goes across both arms. An arm length goes from the tip of your fingers where you're holding it all the way to about the center of your neck. So off camera, I measured that. And we are going to cut. The trick to cutting string, cord, all that good stuff is to pull it on both sides. Do you see how I kind of took it in my other fingers over here and pinched it here, and I'm laying it on the bottom of the scissors and cutting, right? Then I'm going to take this end. They're gonna kiss together, and I'm going to do that twice. And then we are going to do that a third time. So I'm gonna kiss all three together. Pull it. And go ahead and cut. All right? So, like I said, we are going to make a beaded, braided bracelet. And a braid is one of the most simple ways of combining fibers together. A braid is a cord or ribbon having usually 3 or more parts. In this case, we're going to have 3 or more strands forming a regular diagonal pattern going down its length. Many of you have probably seen this before. That's nothing new. You can braid cord, you can braid hair, you can braid all kinds of things. To start our bracelet, I'm going to measure down, just leave a little tail. I would say maybe 2 inches max. And we are going to tie an overhand knot. Mrs. Shuttle, what's an overhand knot? It's a balloon knot. It's how you tie off the end of a balloon. So the definition of an overhand knot is you form a loop. All right? And you pass the ends through it. So I'm gonna tuck it under and pull. Overhand knot. Probably the most common knot. One of the most common knots. All right. So I call it the balloon knot a lot just because most people have tied off the end of a balloon and know how to do that. Next, we are going to use masking tape. Remember, masking tape is paper tape. You do not need to cut this. Pinch between 2 fingers and tear. And I'm going to pull this up on the screen a little bit. I'm gonna tape it right above my knot and make sure it's nice and flat. I'm going to separate out my strands. Remember we said for a braid you must have 3. And start braiding. Taking the right over the center, taking the left over the center. Taking the right over the center, taking the left over the center. Taking the right over the center, taking the left over the center. And it's a natural process what your fingers do. So I'm holding it with really my ring finger and my pinky. I'm putting it over and I'm taking my middle finger and pulling. Your body will just kind of do it. Every once in a while though, and you can't see this because I'm pretty far off camera with it. Once I do a right, left, I like to pull my cords out because if you don't do that, you're gonna get a braid at the very end of all your cords. And that's not what we're going for. So you would do this longer than I am doing this. I'd say about 2 inches. Do you have to get a ruler out to measure? No. Let's say, I don't know, length of your thumb. I'm gonna zoom back in because the next part is we are going to use our faceted beads for this. Facet refers to the cuts on the side of a bead or a gemstone. So if you look at this very closely, do you see those glimmers on there? It's supposed to mimic like a diamond cut or a gemstone. And the reason that jewelers or bead makers do this is because they want it to catch the light. So I am going to take my right cord here, my right strand, find the end of it, and I am going to pinch close to the end, thread my bead, pinch close to the end, thread my bead, pull, take it all the way up to where I'm braiding. I'm gonna cross that in front, push that bead up, and then just like I was continue braiding, I'm going to take my left in front of that. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit here again. And I'm going to take my right in front of that, and that's going to lock that bead in place. So it should have a surrounding around your bead. I like to lock it in place and then do another left, right, at least a left and a right after. You could do more if you wanted your spacing in between your beads to be further apart. You would do more of a braid in between. If you want to be close together, you're going to do exactly what I do here. Ready? Let's try it again. So again, with my right strand, I'm gonna find the end. Take a look at this guy. You can either twist, pinch, and thread your bead, or if it is really bothering you, you can snip that end off. I'm gonna thread it, take it all the way up to the top here. Okay. Cross, ooh, did I put that on the right strand? Cross it over. Take my left over top. Take my right over top. And then I said I like to do a left and a right. And in fact, I would have to do another left because you can't end on a right and then do a bead again. So I'm gonna take my right strand, pinch my cord, thread it, pull, front. Now you see it's kind of trying to run away from me. Once I get that left cord across, it'll hold it right in place. So there was my right, left, right, left, and then it'd be time for another bead. You would continue this process however many beads you want. I would say if you're doing beads, a minimum of 3, but I could do this all the way down my bracelet. Like my whole bracelet could be like this. Once you are done beading, you are just going to continue braiding. When you are done, you're going to do another overhand knot, tuck it under, pull, and trim your ends even. You will probably have more bracelet than you need. Can I have a volunteer real quick? Come here. Would you put your wrist right here for me, honey? All right, let's get your wrist in the video. So, to attach this, all you would do is tie. I don't want it super tight. Tying it. Once, twice, pull. If you have too much extra slack, it's always better to have more and trim down than not enough and have to start over. So I can put another knot here, like this is clearly going to be too big on him. Cut that. I'll let this end fray. I have my bracelet. I could do the same thing over here if I wanted it a scotch smaller. And that's it. That's all there is to this project. Thank you. If you do not finish at the end of class today, say it's time to clean up, and this is where we're at. You're going to take your ends. We don't want them flopping around. You're just gonna wrap it around your hand. And we're gonna do a super big, super loose overhand knot. Pull them together. And I just pulled it halfway through. Do you wanna see that again? So I didn't take the whole end all the way through. I wrapped it around. I took a section of it, made a loop, and pulled. And then this tape that you had, you will then get a pencil and write your name and class code on it. Carefully pull this up. Okay, and fold it in half. Oops, I didn't fold that in half very well. So that we have it for tomorrow, right? And this is how we would turn it in. Do we have questions on this?